Today I'm going to show you how to sew a super easy sailor bow. The pattern for this is below in the link in the description box, or if you're watching from our website, alohasewingcompany.com, welcome and sew along. Here are my fabric pieces all cut out, and you can use any type of hair accessory that you want to attach these to. These are alligator clips. I'm going to use the one with teeth here. These are French clips. You can also attach it to a baby headband or a ponyo. I also love to use a very long alligator clip with my bow making. It is optional, but I'll show you how to use it just in case you have one. You will also need a small piece of string to tie your bow. This is going to be the bow center, and this main fabric is going to actually make our bow. So what you want to do with the pretty side of the fabric facing up, fold your fabric in half long ways so that the wrong side of the fabric is showing. The next thing you want to do is find the middle point of your fabric. I do this by folding it in half, and I'm using a knit fabric so you don't see the middle crease too well if I press. So I'm going to go ahead and pin or clip about 1 centimeter away from that folded point in the middle, and then 1 centimeter away from that folded point on the other side as well. And that's just to remind me I'm not going to sew that area closed. Now take this to your sewing machine or your serger. I do recommend a sewing machine because it's easier to get those corners, and sew from each opening mark to the very tips on each side. Here is mine sewn with the serger. The corners would have been a lot nice and crisper had I used a sewing machine, but that is totally okay. And I have that opening there at the bottom. If you did use a sewing machine, make sure to clip those corners right up to your stitches to reduce the bulk in those corners. Now go to that whole opening, and you're going to turn this right side out. Once I have this mostly turned right side out, I go in with a chopstick and poke out all of my corners and smoothen out my seams. Now to close this opening, the fabric should be kind of inwards anyways and flush with the rest of the fabric on the outside. If it's not, go ahead and push your fabric in about 1/4 of an inch so that we can close this whole opening. You can hand stitch it closed with a ladder stitch. I just use a small piece of glue, hot glue, and secure that area closed. You're not going to see this once the bow is all done, so even if you don't want to sew it closed at all, you really don't have to. The next thing you're going to do is go ahead and fold the ends of your bow across one another. So you're going to crisscross the bottom ends of your bow together so that that little triangle space in the bottom is nice and even, and then you're going to adjust the top so that it slightly overlaps down there in the middle. Play with this as much as you need to make sure that your bottom and your top of the bow are nice and symmetrical before we tie it off. Here's my bow ready to be tied. You can see the back here overlaps a little bit in the center of the front. Now here's how I use that long alligator clip. I clip the bow right down the middle so that there's a little space at the top and bottom of the alligator clip. Then I get my string. I'm using a hot pink piece of elastic so that you can see this in the video, and I put it through those 2 holes and just tie it in the back, and it cinches it nice and evenly. I love these for making bows. I've used this one clip probably 1,000 times, and they're less than a couple of dollars for several of them at your local stores. So play with the loops however you need to, and here is how you do it, just by cinching it with your fingers. It's also very simple. You just push it and pinch it. You're pinching it with your left hand if you're right-handed, and you're just cinching it together and holding that pinch together. Then you're going to get your string and put it across the top, middle, and then pinch it along the sides and bring it to the back. Then you're going to tie it into a double knot across the back here. After you've done this, either way you're going to do it, go ahead and adjust your loops and cut off your excess string or thread, whatever you're using to tie this off. And I've never had an issue with it coming untied, and I have 4 children. And go ahead and get your hair accessory piece ready. I'm using an alligator clip with teeth that's also a little bit lined with ribbon. I put a little bit of hot glue right there on the top, and I'm going to glue it down to the back side of this bow. If you don't have your alligator clip lined, you're not gonna glue it into place. You're gonna go ahead and put your bow center on first. Now let's get our bow center fabric, and we're going to fold it and overlap the edges onto the back. You don't want them completely overlapped. You just want them overlapped about halfway so that the fabric raw edge doesn't show on the front of your centerpiece for your bow. Now you're going to get your hot glue gun again, place a small dot of glue right onto the front center of your bow, just a very little bit, and then place the middle of your bow fabric for your centerpiece right on top of that. Now you're going to pull those sides down and pinch it. Make sure you adjust your tails and your loops however you need to before it gets glued in place. And then bring this around to the back. If you have not already attached your alligator clip because it's not lined, go ahead and place your clip on there. You're going to cut off any excess of your bow center fabric, and you're going to glue this down in place by opening up your clip and gluing it down, and then doing that for both sides. After this, all you have left to do is adjust your bow loops and your tails however you want them to look, and you're all finished. Again, remember, you can make this bow in up to 4 different sizes. This is one of the smaller ones. The 3-inch one is a great one for babies and infants. The 4-inch is great for your toddlers, and the bigger ones are good for your older girls. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and have fun sewing along with me. Please, please, please like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel to see all of our easy sewing patterns as they're released. Visit AlohaSewingCompany.com, or the link is down below in the description box on YouTube to see all of our super easy sewing patterns that you can print at home so you can start to sew faster. We make sewing patterns for literally everything, from baby items, kids' clothes, decorations, holiday stuff and gifts, bags and more. And before you go, mahalo.